Hello. Next up, we have the American Kid Consumer with Philippe Guinaudeau of BrandTrends. Philippe?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Philippe. I'm French, so hopefully you will understand my English today. We're going to talk about the American Kid Consumer 2024. That's a survey that we've been conducting, or tracker that we've been conducting for the past years. And we come and present the results most of the time. It's going to be a very quick session. It's a very long survey, very quick session. So I invite you to register to the webinar that will be held on the 27th of March. So all the members can attend. It's absolutely part of the subscription. And you will have more details, more elements on this presentation. Obviously, at the end of this session, if you have any more questions, we can go on the next tables and you can answer all the questions. I will try to answer all the questions that you might have. Okay? So very quickly, we are a market research firm. We do market research, and on a regular basis, we survey. We do plenty of stuff on brands, on consumer behaviors, but this research is about consumer behavior, what the kids are doing. So I'm going to skip all the presentation of who we are, market research firm, and let's go to. Yups. I'm going straight to the point, straight to the analysis. Okay. The fact is that, as I always say, I mean, the kids, they have a schedule that is absolutely crazy. They have, from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, they have hardly some time to rest. They're always active. They are doing stuff between the constraint activities, between the schooling, between the time they want to spend with their friends and so on. They are always in action. And that's very, very important for all the manufacturers, all the retailers, all the players in the marketing field to understand exactly what type of activities they have, what type of things they do, what type of preference they have. So that way they can address directly to their audience. The number one competitor of the toy market are not the different manufacturers within the toy market, and the players by them and between themselves, they are competitors. I'm not disputing that. I mean, I come from a field from where we studied all the market shares and the market competition and assortment, so I'm not going to go against that. But when the parents see their kids spending a lot of time playing with some toys or playing with some video games or doing this type of sport activity or artistic activity, then they will dedicate some time and some money and some efforts to that particular activity because they know they have the insurance that their kids are going to love it. And so they are going to spend the money there. So the number one competitor of the toy market is the amount of time they spend playing with toys. And that's the reason why in the research, we have studied about the daily time of the kids, of the children. Basically, for 2024, schooling is about 38%. Digital entertainment, sorry, digital entertainment. What a big mistake. Digital entertainment, 38%. Schooling 29%, and then after you've got the scheduled activities. So scheduled activities would be eating, grooming, all these type of you have to do it. Then 8% for spending time with friends and 6% for playing with toys. So it's not a lot within a week. It's a little bit over the weekend, 50% more than during the week, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's not that much. And as you can see, digital entertainment remain the number one activity, or is the number one activity. Within the digital entertainment, you've got plenty of different activities, watching TV, going on a mobile phone, using a tablet, computer, video games, and so on. 38%, that's a lot. That's a lot of time. Over the years, I mean, we've noticed that the amount of time they spent in front of the TV is remaining stable. In the past 10 years, they have not changed the amount of time they spent in front of the TV. But the number of kids spending time in front of the TV, linear TV especially, is declining. It's decreasing fast. Instead, they are going to the streaming television, to the internet television or YouTube television and so on. So they are watching more content. They are using more actors of the content they consume, and that has changed in the past years. That's the biggest change that has been placed in the past years. Now it's settling down. So that means that it's not changing much. The big shake we had in the past years, moving from linear TV to streaming, then or to replay, then to streaming, and now to mix between streaming and the internet. I mean, it's becoming a little bit more stable. So that's not the key fact for the 2024 year. The rest has not massively changed. You will discover that on the 27th of March. In terms of TV, what I presented is 23% of their time is about watching TV. The 17% is about using a smartphone. Okay, 1 second on that one. Using a smartphone, measuring this activity, especially in the consumer research, is very, very complex, because obviously you have to ask, okay, how much time have you spent on your mobile phone, or did you use your mobile phone from that time to that time, and so on. So it's very, very difficult, especially since now our kids, they are more and more used to multitasking. And so that includes a little bit of the multitasking, but unfortunately not everything. So I would consider that this 17% is a little bit understated, but we have absolutely no way to measure a real amount of time they spend on the mobile phone. It's a good indicator, and it tells you that mobile phone is very important, as you can see, and definitely. But at the end of the day, it's probably understated. Playing with video games, 17%, then using a tablet, 17%, computer is 16%. Again, I mean, you have to consider that when they are very young, like 3 years old, they would be more on television and tablets. And as they get older, they will switch to mobile phones and computers. They will still go on computers, they will still go in front of the TV, they will still use a tablet, but because they can have individual devices by themselves, like the computers and mobile phones, that's the devices they tend to prefer, and that's the devices they tend to use more and more. So it switches a little bit along that way. I changed the order from this year. They have money. They have money. They have a lot of money. Not only they can be what we name the pester power, they can use their pester power, so pushing their parents to purchase for themselves or purchase for the family, and that's a big amount. We are talking about $1 billion spending, but they also have money by themselves, and they use that money for spending their money, learning on how to save it, or use it for a different usage. Depending on the country, I mean, there are some countries where they use it for purchasing also some food at school, or only for their leisure. Here we are talking about $23 in average per month in pocket money in the US. So now, if you like mathematics, I strongly advise that you take the size of the population of the children. There we are talking about 0 to 14, but the average, I mean, obviously 0 to 3, 4 years old, there's no pocket money. And then after starts very, very little pocket money, but they don't get it. So really start from 6 to 14 years old. You take the population 6 to 14 years old, you multiply by $23, and this is the amount of money that they could spend if they were to spend everything in the market. Scary. Digital influence, it's an open door, definitely. The toy purchases are driven by influence from the digital world, whether it's social influencers, recommendations, TikToks, or creating content creation, advertising, everything that comes from the digital is a good source for them to get the information. And it's more information, although not in proportions, but more in terms of growth information compared to the linear TV. So, I mean, you still need to make advertising campaigns, still need to be on linear TV, but the power of the digital is becoming more and more prominent. Licensing drives sales. Okay, I will stop after that. Those slides, I will stop on a few slides. But if there's only one thing that you need to remember from my speech today, it's licensing, it's branding. Licensing first, and then branding in general. It's probably in the coming years what's going to be the most important thing in the toy market. Yes, it goes to the kidults. Yes, there will still be the changes on the retailing side, on the assortment sides, on the physical and digital, so the phygital. Everything of that is very important. But what will really make the growth in the market will be licensing. And parental spending habits, because of the economic situation, and that's for the US. I mean, it has changed a little bit in the past year, but depending on the economical situation, the parents tend to be a little bit wiser when they want to spend money. They're not spending less money per toy on their children. They are just spending it a little bit wiser. So very quickly, in terms of the preferred toys and games, arts and craft, action figures, buildings, dolls, accessories. I mean, it's almost a no-brainer. It has not massively changed. The categories favored by the girls are still favored by the girls. The categories favored by the boys still favored by the boys. What's very, very interesting is we keep telling year after year about the growth of the digital world, the battery-operated type of toys. And remember that about 80% of the toy market is made of non-battery-operated products. Products that have absolutely no electricity in it, no electronics circuit in that. And that's I mean, one typical example would be Lego, for instance. I mean, why Lego would be so successful while we keep pushing on, oh, you should do digital, you should push digital. So remember that the non-electronics or the non-battery operated is the most important one. That's the one. It doesn't pay, I mean, when you look at it, I mean, it doesn't look like the most important slide in that presentation. It is. Really, it is. What we are saying on that slide is that the kids, in 51% of the cases, would prefer a toy or video games that would be using their preferred entertainment character, in short. If there is an entertainment character on their toys, they would love it. Yes, for all types of toys and games, and yes, but only for certain types of toys and games. So for certain types, they would be okay to have a character. Some other types they wouldn't be. But when you see the proportion, I mean, you can see that it's the vast majority of it. So the power of licensing is really very, very strong in the toy market. It's always been very strong, and if numbers are correct, I mean, I think in the US market, we are talking about, it's in the vicinity of 30% of the sales are made with licensed products. So it's a very, very big number, but it's going to grow. It's going to keep growing because the licensing or the entertainment character, it's what makes the links between toys and games, video games, apparel, personal care, all the different products. So make sure that you've got an entertainment character that please the children, and they will purchase also toys and games as they need to purchase t-shirts, as they need to purchase toothpaste and so on. So that's the most important one. And now that the digital economy is a little bit settling down or stabilizing, that's the most important one. Does that make sense so far? Yeah. Sorry, I have to present that one. Okay. That's a map of the most favorite entertainment brands to the kids. 0 to 14 years old in the US, and that's the winter autumn 24. So let me just spend a few seconds on that. At the bottom, you've got the age. So 0, yeah. What? 0, 2 years old, 4 years old, 6 years old, up to 14 years old. On the right, you've got the girls. On the left, sorry, you've got the girls, and on the right, you've got the boys. The size of the bubble indicates the size of the preference. And the color indicates the type of category of origin of the entertainment character. And as you can see, I mean, in the US market, except for a few properties that would be Hello Kitty, Frozen, Barbie, Minnie Mouse, extremely gender orientated towards the girls. The rest is pretty much centered in the center, boys and girls. Okay, so to make it short, kids in the US, 0 to 14, in average, they know about 554 different entertainment brands. That's a lot, because no kid is going to have 554 different brands purchased on a given year. So obviously you need to be in the top ones. But as you can see, more and more brands now would be in the center of that matrix. That means that more and more brands are talking to both boys and girls. That's the direct influence of the inclusivity, or what we will call inclusivity. 3 years ago, inclusivity was 52% of the brands were mentioned by both boys and girls. 62% in 2024, 62% of the brands are mentioned by both boys and girls. So that means that now brands are talking both on boys and girls. You still have some brands that would be a little bit more girlish, Barbie, Hello Kitty, Frozen, and so on. But most of the brands, the rest, would be mostly mentioned by boys and girls. So that means that also in terms of preference and the way you select the brands, or in the way you address your messages, that would be very important to take into consideration this inclusivity. I'm going to skip that one. Come on the 27th of March, and I will further explain. It's in order to get to the purchase intentions of the children. This is the purchase funnel that you need to cover. The awareness, you need to be known. The affinity, you need to be loved. Once you are known and loved, then you will be popular, because you will have plenty of kids loving your brands. Because you're popular, people will want to purchase you, and I will show you the matrices and everything that mathematically demonstrates the relationship. And because and they know, they love, you're popular, and so on, you've got, they are loyal to your brands. That's the Net Promoter Score. They own you, then they will want to repurchase. I mean, I will show you the whole relationship, and it's extremely efficient. But I still have 2 more minutes, so I'm going to go very fast. Okay, collection. I mean, as I said, I mean, the report is extremely dense, and there are plenty of things, and there's a section about collection. And collection is very interesting, because that's also the beginning of what will be, or what is one of the new trends that we can see in the toy market in the past 18 months or 2 years, the kidult market. That's the beginning of the kidult market, if you want to say it that way. The kidults, they are still on toys, or they still purchase toys because they want to collect. That's the number one, because of the nostalgia and all the elements that drive this collectible effect. And the kids, the younger kids, they are not making any difference. They are just acting on different parameters or criteria. But at the end of the day, they are not acting differently. And so collection is probably one of the points you will need to consider as well in the coming years. So that way you can get prepared to the kidult market and develop further of this kidult market, which is not going anywhere now that it's been launched and generated interest from toy manufacturers. It's going to grow. It's for the long term. Just know that there are 2 markets that are very, very strong in the kidult markets. That would be the US and Germany. Okay, holiday shopping starts early. but still parents keep doing it at a later stage. There are plenty of things to say about the Christmas presents or the Christmas shopping, including the fact that the number of presents per child has not decreased at all in the past year. It remained pretty much stable at seven products, whether it's toys, video games, personal care, and so on. So just so you know. And this is my last one. I just want to give you 10 directions to win the toy war. Toys are fantastic products. They are the #1 products, and you have to keep in mind that when children enter in a consumption market, not only consumption, I mean, it's kind of dirty to say consumption, but when they enter in the consumption market, toy is the #1 product they have. And when they are young, they know less brands than when they get older. So taking advantage of that, the toy manufacturers can take these two elements and grow the children and try to keep them as long as possible on the toy market. So first, the #1 element for the coming years, even if it's already been done, it's about strengthening the licensing partnerships to tap into the fandoms. Then at some point, you will need to merge the digital experience with the physical toys. I mean, there are more and more online, or more and more creating content on TikToks or these applications. So you will still need to do this type of work, even if the non-battery operated toys make the large majority of the toy market. Obviously, you will need to act upon the collection phenomenon, and then after you have to move into the mediatization or customization of the sales. And for that, you should use more and more influencing social media or ways where you can get your message to your targets being also the fans of some other brands that you will use in the licensing area. If you use the fans of Batman or Superman or Barbie, I mean, knowing them is much easier, and because of that, you can better target them in the different platforms. So at the end of the day, I mean, it makes your job easier, more than the linear television, which is less and less a point of contact for the children. You will also need to use the customization as much as you can, thanks to AI, thanks to all the virtual realities, thanks to everything that the new technologies that will become something very interesting. Sharing economy is also very important. I talked about inclusivity. We could have talked about sustainability and the sharing economy. It's a movement. It's something that has grown in the past years. It's not going anywhere as well, even if it doesn't make the majority of the sales, but the parents are extremely sensible or sensitive to that. So sustainability. Future of toys is also about experiences and not only ownership. You also have a direction about the fact that when they are in front of the toys, it's less about the ownership of the toy, but the time they spend with the toys and the exchange and so on, and the collection as well. You need to optimize the pricing and the promotions, because the parents would be extremely sensitive to that. But it doesn't mean that the prices can't be expensive or high. It's just that you need to make sure that the value for the money is extremely visible in the minds of the consumers. And also ethical manufacturers is growing over the parents, especially among the Generation Z. And that's very fast. In a presentation that will be longer for the webinar, and when you will spend more time on the documents, you will see that you've got hours of findings in this research. Thanks very much.